Okay. Hey folks, Steve here. And I'm going to call this unboxing of this particular tool, but I will just kind of make it an eclectic video. I'll throw in this thing here and this thing here. I'll get to those in a minute. Okay, so what do I have? Well, I did what I said I was not going to do in a video from a while back. I don't know what the video was. I was in the tool trailer and I was doing something, and I was talking about my DeWalt 18-volt right-angle drill. And the 18-volt right-angle drill, and I still have a few 18-volt tools. Matter of fact, all but one drill has actually made its way into my walkout basement. They just sit right over there, as a matter of fact, that yellow. And I have an impact driver and 3 drills. Yeah, 1 hammer drill and 2 just regular drills. And those are all 18 volt. And I think I have 2 operational 18 volt batteries. And because they're good tools, I have a couple of options. I can get more of the 18 to 20 volt converters. This is a knockoff, probably a Chinese knockoff version. Has a USB port in it. But I have a DeWalt, actually, so I have one converter. And if I think a couple of those drills, you can smell the brushes, when you run it. So I don't know, they have a life, they have a shelf life. So the other day, I'm on a job site, I'm doing electrical, and I have to run through some studs with drilling some holes. So I grabbed, in this one really tight space, I grabbed my 18 volt converted to 20 volt because I have one of these. It's actually the DeWalt version, so it's the official. On the 18 volt right angle drill, looks a lot like that. Put a spade bit on it, and I'm drilling through happily, halfway through, and then just bam. Motor winds, and the chuck just gives it up, and nothing is spinning. All right, well, finally, the drill is done. Okay. Well, a previous video, at some point I said, I won't replace this. When this thing dies, I won't replace it. Never overly happy, never really bad, felt bad about the tool. It did what I always needed it to do. It was just not one of those tools to where I used it all the time, I felt strongly about, and I did not like the reverse trigger. The reverse forward trigger button is just very poorly placed for my little fat sausage hands. It was tough. So therefore, it died. And so that was 4 days ago, 5 days ago, and I thought, well, do I really want to replace this thing? Do I really want to replace this thing? Screw it. I replaced it. All right, so the unboxing of the DCD Delta Charlie Delta 740B as in Bravo. So DCD740B Bravo B. And tool only, $119 on Amazon maybe. Tight packing. They didn't waste any space. I can respect that. All right, one little cardboard insert to hold everything in place. Nothing else in the box. Instructions. And I'm firmly believing that you pay $120 for the instructions, you get a free tool. So here's my free tool. All right. So it is a little more slender than, actually, hold one. I will go get the old drill. It's in my truck. I'll be right back. And I'll compare the two. I'm back. Got a cup of coffee. Did you miss me? Oh, man. This is PG. Hello, cat. How you doing? I'm not a cat person, but he's a good cat. He's my wife's cat. How you doing, pal? He's a good boy. Now I'm catless. All right, so what do we have here? Quick comparison. Get stuff out of the way. Here's the old one. Here's the new one. For size comparison, it's kind of hard. Well, there we go. There's a belt clip on the new one, so I had to set it over here on the edge. All right, well, there is a difference in size. And I'm sure you can look up the stats on this. It's not a problem. 11.5 inches versus under 11 inches, about 10 3/4. However, you can run a 2 amp hour battery here, and this is always going to be an 18 volt, regardless of the amp hour, and they're always, to my knowledge, they were always the same thickness, the same size. So this is always going to grow by that one particular battery, as opposed to this. And I was running the 18 volt adapters, so this actually became taller. But it really, the height is not too much of an issue with these things, of course, because it's not about the height of the drill, the length of the drill. It's about the depth of the drill. It's a right angle drill. And for that, you're going to get 4.5 inches there, and you're going to get 4.5 inches there. So the critical dimension is there. All right. My pet peeve. Now I do love the paddle switch, and they've retained that here, but they actually have improved. And I didn't know this, and I haven't played around with this. I haven't felt this, handled this drill anywhere. The critical part for me, and I would say, other than the fact that this doesn't have a lot of power, never really did, and I understand maybe why it doesn't have a lot of power. It's a very specific tool for a very specific job, and how much power do you need to make that job happen when you're needing a right angle anything, right? But other than what I felt was kind of underpowered, that I did not like this trigger, this forward reverse trigger right there, okay? Forward and reverse right there. It's indented. You know, there's a little space there where my finger has to fit in. And it's just awkward. I'll be frank with you. Yeah, first world problems. I don't like the reverse trigger on my drill. You know, there are people out there having wars, over crap, and I'm complaining about a trigger on a drill. So I get, in perspective, first world problems. There you go. But on this thing, what I do notice is that the button itself actually is a button. It has dimension, and you actually push it through. It doesn't set flush with the material, and that's what that button does. It sets flush, actually. So this button is much more pronounced. It actually looks like it's way more functional in my pet peeve. So apparently they got my email. They fixed it. And who said I don't have DeWalt stock, right? All right, so there you go. So yes, there it has. It came with a belt clip already on it. And of course, ready to go. This one does have 2 speeds. This one actually had 2 speeds. I don't think I ever changed it off of 2, but 1 and 2 here. Okay, so there you go there. Other than that, is there any other point to it? So it has the paddle, has a belt clip. That's it. So no frills, no spills, no chills, just right angle drill. Hopefully there's a little more power there. And being new, I think it's going to be hard to compare old to new. That thing is many years old. This is probably months old from whatever its production date is. All right, so I knew that was a bad idea. There we go. Woo. Perfect setting. All right, so there's the unboxing. I'll tell you how it works later, but I'm assuming it's going to work just fine. Now, next, because I'm just going to throw a couple of things in this video. So the next thing is this. So I have one of these 18 to 18 volt DeWalt, 18 to 20 volt DeWalt changers, or adapters. So that would go in there and then adapt this. This is not the one I've been using with this. That's actually still in the truck, I think. But that's what I have here, right? And I bought this specifically because it has the USB port, so you could actually charge, with a little USB. Just a minute. What's up?
We're getting ready to go, and you just signed the card, and I have to find some ribbon. I'm sorry.
That's not clear. Most of the time, I could be down here for 7 hours and I would have 0 interruptions at all. And today's a day, huh? All right, hang on. Boy, it's only about 48 down here. It's a heated space, but it's only just heated. So, a little cold. So anyway, where was I? Okay, so this adapter, and it has the USB, and that's why I bought it. Why? Well, and I'm sure that's the burning question you're asking. My gosh, why did he buy that? Why did he buy that? I'll tell you why. I have here LED lights. I think it's a 16-foot strand. I won't bother to open that, but that's what's in the foil pack. Comes with a remote, little adhesive strips, a couple of screws, instruction pack. All right, so why? Why did I get this? Because I saw this guy with a tool trailer on YouTube, and he had like a battery setup where he took his DeWalt battery, put it in, was able to toggle a light switch, and then he had LED lights even when he wasn't plugged in anywhere. Sorry. What else do you need? Uppo.
Love you.
Uppo. It's a good thing you're hot.
Thank you. Make sure you watch it as I walk away.
I'm watching. I'm watching. So, this guy that has a tool trailer, when he wasn't plugged in anywhere, he actually had LED lights. Now I have flashlights, and so is being in my trailer when it's not plugged in a really huge deal? And the answer is honestly, no, it's not. But I was intrigued by the idea. I had looked into basically just the top portion of this being a battery clip, clips over a 20-volt DeWalt battery, and they make them for other battery lines, and has basically 2 leads that come off of it. And from that, you can wire into those and then have your 20-volt power to do whatever you wanted to do. So I looked into that, but I figured, well, I'm going to try this first. And these are USB driven, so I should be able to plug it right into there, and then everything should work out. So all I have to do then is I'll figure out a way to mount this in my trailer in some convenient location where I can put a battery into it, and the LEDs are very close to that, and I'll just run them on the ceiling, I think. And that'll be the easiest way. So I don't know, it's a lot of possibilities. Problem solving, it's what we do, and so this is a problem. We'll solve it. Oh, yeah, the other thing that I was going to show you, so let me slide that over there. This here is a Wattly, Waitley, excuse me, Waitley, W-A-I-T-L-E, Waitley, lithium-ion, 20-volt, 6-amp-hour battery, as you can see. This is, matter of fact, number 21 in the bank of batteries that I have, that I think I'm up to 30 now. Not of this one, but just 30 overall 20-volt batteries. And I number them because I'm on job sites all the time, and it's just nice to keep track of, what's mine with initials and what number do I have. Otherwise, though, I loaned this out to a buddy. He was doing some work with, whatever a gun that I was using. Dropped the gun, battery hit, and it really just shattered the top part of this battery. But CA glue, cyanoacrylate glue, super glue, crazy glue, CA glue, 3M activator. I'm sorry, 2P10 activator. I thought it was by 3M, but it is not. It's just by the 2P10 company. But anyway, so there you go. Glued it all back together, and because it's all glued back together, I don't know honestly if it works. It is charged. So let's find out, because I happen to have a 20-volt tool right here. So first of all, with the gluing, will this go on? I think so. Now, how stable this will be, I don't know, but I super glued it, right? And will it fire? Ooh. Ah. Oh. And any other expletive we can come up with. All right, so there we go there. Comes off. I'm going to call this at least a battery I don't have to throw away right now. And so maybe this one is just not going to see a lot of heavy, hard-duty stuff. I don't know. You know, maybe it lives like on the power plane, you know, where it's unlikely you're going to drop that tool. A drill, I'm likely to drop a drill because I'm using these things, not this one, but, you know, I'm using these things all the time. And I can understand clipping a drill, it drops, you know, holding onto a drill, you know, you set it down. I can understand that. But something like a power plane, maybe, probably, this one would be just fine to sit on that power plane, or other very infrequently used tools, unlikely to be drop tools because they'd be sitting on a workbench somewhere, typically. So I'm thinking that I don't have to replace it. I will anyway, just to make sure that I actually have, you know, the full cadre of batteries, and I have pretty much a battery for every tool that I own. So apparently I must have around 30 tools or so. But I will say that I think I do have a couple of extra batteries than I do tools. So I'm not hurting by any stretch, and I can't use all 30 tools at any one particular time. But it's nice to be able to just grab and go. So when I grab this thing, it will have a battery on it, as opposed to you know, grabbing it and then having to search for a battery. It's just how my tool trailer rolls. I'm a dad. I'm allowed dad humor, and frankly, I amuse myself. So it's all good for me. It's all good for me. All right, so there you go. Just one of the uses of super glue, CA glue, right? All right, so it doesn't matter. The last thing I'll show you, I think eventually I'll do a separate video on this. I'll look around at the videos that are of this, and if I see something that is missing that would be interesting to know, I'll certainly show it to you. But this was a Christmas present from back a few months ago now. It's still certainly, you know, winter out, but winter's starting to wane. It's just very cold here today. But anyway, carry pouch. This thing here is called a Blaze. It's a Bosch laser tape. And so it replaces tape measures, or complements them, if you will. But of course it does a lot more than that. So I believe you push this button here, and it comes on. And apparently if let's say I do this. So up above me you can see my joists, and then above that is the subfloor for my first floor. And so from this box up, let's see what we've got. So if I push that once, push it again, and push it again. Okay, so 60 and 11/16. 60 and 11/16. Oops. Yeah. 60 and 11/16. Give or take. I mean, it's an older tape measure. So anyway, really happy to have this. I have an older, I've had it for about 3 years now, and I would assume it's maybe a Chinese version of a laser tape for a company. This is probably made in China as well, but it's through Bosch, so it's a brand name. The other one is just simply not a brand name, so let me say that then. And I never really developed the trust with it, and I looked around. There was not specifically a calibration that it recommended that it could be out of calibration. But I never developed the trust that I wanted to. And I used it on a few jobs, and it did what it needed to do, but I just honestly never really trusted it. But I figured with a brand name, I would trust. And when I looked around, Bosch seemed to kind of rise above everything else as far as laser tapes went. And even with even with the yellow-black, they have a version of it too. This, of course, takes a couple of AA batteries. I couldn't find one that you could USB charge. That would be neat. But in any case, though, so there you go. It has several functions on it. It's probably, I think there's a really super expensive version of this, just under $200. This is like the $130 version maybe. And then there is, I think, like a $90 or an $80 version, and maybe something less than that. So they have a few in the line. This is not the most. It's certainly not the least. I think it's kind of in the middle. I don't do a lot with this. And for me, it's primarily, like doing trim and crown and things like that. And I'll develop other uses for it. But with that, I think I'm going to trust this. I have tested this out, and I've double-checked with tape measures that I trust on measurements that I know, and it seems to be functioning just fine. And so I think the trust level is going to be there with this, and I'll use this thing a lot more. I'll do a separate video on this, and we'll see exactly how it works out. If there's anything that is missing out there that I can maybe fill a gap been. Otherwise, it'd be just a video on the same. Okay, well, hey, thank you very much for sticking with me. I know it's been kind of a weird mix of trying to get through stuff, but thanks for sticking with me. Hopefully, if nothing else, you've been amused, because I am a goofball, and maybe that's why I do this stuff, just to be amusing. Or maybe you're not amused. But if you're not amused, you've been gone a long time. You're on to somebody, maybe a cat video. All right, hey, take care. Cat video. Whoa, 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 whoa. This is a kid's channel. Really? Or is that what you think of my channel? All right. Take care. What? Yes, you guys love a cat.